What's up, everybody? This is Carl doing like a surprise video. I didn't even intend to do like a discussion video, but man, things have been just going crazy with Marvel recently. Uh at least when I talk about at least just the two big things right now circling around uh the Fantastic Four cast and the decisions the MCU has been making recently. It's just been odd. It's like really odd choices that seems like they're shooting themselves in the foot. Now, recently, it's been circulating that they cast the Silver Surfer to be that the woman who was from like the Ozark thing, Julia Gardner. Now, my stepmother, I saw her watching Ozark one like at least a couple of years ago when she was like doing my hair at the time. So I caught a couple of episodes and I seen her in. She's the girl with like that really thick country accent, and you know I never got hooked on it. I seen it, so like I'm familiar. This is pretty much like another Breaking Bad situation, but not long enough for me to like care how well of an actress she is. It's like, I'm pretty sure she's a really good actress. I'm not knocking her skills at it. Obviously, I'll never knock an actor because, you know, she was talented enough to be on like a hit show or just any show, in general. So can't knock her for that. So it's not really on her. What I'm, bothered by, I can't say like I'm super upset. It's just like I know certain people is like, oh, like you're, mad is like he's a woman, and it's like, it's like no different from if it was like a man or woman, as long as well, no, but at the same time, yes. And what I mean by that is Silver Surfer is a character that like I'm a comic book guy, so like I know about the Silver Surfer. If you don't know about the Silver Surfer, he's from his real name is Norrin Rad. Comes from the alien planet called Zenla, a very peaceful utopian type of planet. Then Galactus, the World Eater, who's one of the biggest. Well, he's a villain, but a sympathetic villain where he is like a by happenstance this different type of alien race from way beyond in the past before like the Big Bang in the Marvel universe. uh this scientists who want to explore the universe got I don't say bombarded with cosmic rays, but he got a crazy amount of powers through the cosmos, by accident, thinking he was gonna die or something. And he turns into this big, powerful entity that is so powerful that in order to sustain himself, he unfortunately has to consume planets because the only thing that can sustain his life. So that's why make him a sympathetic villain. He doesn't want to do this, but he has to do this because it's like anybody. You have to eat, to live, which is the most understanding feeling that any sentient creature among the stars can understand. But just he doesn't care if the planet is inhabited or not. He just needs a planet. So one day he comes upon Zenla, and Norrin Rad, in order to protect his people, he offered up a deal to Galactus that he will be his herald and go search for planets for him to consume, rather than him going going on his own to do it. So Galactus agrees. He leaves Zenla alone, and he gives uh Silver Surfer the power cosmic, which makes him like darn near one of the most powerful Marvel heroes in the comics. It's like he can easily go toe to toe with somebody like Thor or Thanos. It's like his power is that big. And so Norrad goes off, travels the spaceways, searching for planets for Galactus to eat. So he primarily finds uh uninhabited planets, so that way nobody will suffer the same fate as his planet almost did. And they eventually come across Earth. There's other stuff that happens in between, but eventually come across Earth. He meets up with the Fantastic Four. They says like he shouldn't do this. Spend time with them. He understands how horrible that Galactus has been, because he has eaten planets with people on it before. One of which has been the Skrull planet. That's why the Skrulls always had like not only a beef with the Kree Empire, but the biggest fear is Galactus. So then Silver Surfer rebelled against Galactus, and then Galactus eventually found other heralds like this. If he wanted to make a female herald of Galactus, he could have gone with Nova, not the space cop Nova, but there was a human female on Earth that some weird reason she was attracted to Galactus for some odd reason. I don't know, but she became Nova and got like cosmic fire. It's pretty much like a souped up Johnny Storm. And she traveled the spaceways to search for planets for Galactus to eat. So that's just like the gist of like the Galactus and the Silver Surfer stuff. Most people probably know surface level information about Silver Surfer. He is not, thanks to the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer back in the day, I think that helped bring Silver Surfer into the zeitgeist somewhat, even though it comes from a movie that not many people liked. I give it a little bit more grace than most other people, because I will review the first two Fantastic Four films for the channel, because I think it is more so ahead of its time, and I think nobody really gives it enough credit that it deserves. But all in all, that helped people understand at least the gist of who the Silver Surfer was. And prior to that, not many people probably know through and through, but it's probably just surface level stuff. Like, oh yeah, the alien that teamed up with the Fantastic Four. That's pretty much most general audience probably familiarity of the character. He's not as big as Spider-Man or Batman or Wonder Woman. But what people might do know that he's a dude, and he is Norrin Rad. And they cast Julia to be Shia LaBeouf, who is Norrin Rad's wife or girlfriend in most cases. It goes either way depending on the writer. But the love interest. And that's why Norrin decided to become the hero, because in terms of self-sacrifice, in order to not only help his people but the woman he loves, he decides to become the herald. So the Kevin Feige, Kathleen Kennedy more so, and Bob Iger, all three who has like who's like gets like the bigger says out of anybody on terms of go ahead stuff, they look at this and it's like, here's the thing: why nobody knows that much about Shala Ball? I think people can get a gist of who the Silver Surfer is. Like I said, surface level stuff for a general audience. But Shala Ball, you can cast Shala Ball, and that's perfectly fine for this actress if you cast Shala Ball. But why would you make her the Silver Surfer? And here's the kicker here. I recently found out, luckily like I waited before I jumped in to make a video like this. I recently found out that the Marvel Studios put this information out there. Not really super detailed, but some other source found out that, oh, this whole Fantastic Four crew and the female Silver Surfer is from like an alternate universe thing, which is a precedent in like maybe like What If or Elseworlds type of thing in the comics, where she instead becomes the Herald of Galactus. But why go that route? I've been more than okay if you just swapped out Silver Surfer and made just Nova and just cast Julia to be the female, fire, Herald Nova. Because yeah, the Herald, one of the Heralds of Galactus was a female. I think there were at least two, but one of them being Nova. I remember Nova from the '90s Silver Surfer cartoon, and she was a thing. And it's like, you're gonna cast that instead of like just retroactively deciding, like, because you're trying to make all these crazy changes, and they're gonna been fine, but part for later stuff. But if you're going out there bringing in the Fantastic Four and the X-Men into the fold, it behooves you to go with the, what the characters that people are familiar with the baseline, blueprint of what we are familiar with, before you do some grand sweeping changes, later. You're right out the gate. It's like, you're going to divide people when you do these kind of things. It's like, it's kind of weird that you see. The other topic was about the Pedro Pascal thing, because I've been wanting to talk about that for a minute, but I guess I'll do it in this kind of video. I think people can get over the hump over the whole Pedro Pascal casting, despite, like, him being of a different ethnicity. But yeah, he's a great actor. Nobody's denying the caliber of actors you're bringing on. First and foremost, I don't know why you need to keep constantly casting all A-list actors, where from the jump you didn't always get like A-list actors. You got very lesser known people involved into this show and let them grow with the character, but you're trying to guarantee butts in seats, which it's like, you didn't do that with Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth was relatively unknown. He only did like what, Cabin in the Woods or something like that. And he grew into the role, and he becomes a household name. Same thing with Tom Hiddleston. He was just doing plays before you casted him as Loki. Then he grew into a household name. They're hardly doing that anymore these days. With a few exceptions, with like Aman Vanani, I can't pronounce her name. I always get it right. But the Miss Marvel actress, you did that with the actress who plays She-Hulk. You did it bits and pieces here, which is cool, because they lesser known actors in general, or just not, this that big first role kind of situation. But this, the whole cast with the whole Fantastic Four thing, they acted before. Like, the guy playing Ben Grimm was Microchip in the Punisher film, the TV show, I should say. And it's like, it's not a big issue, because they keep recycling. Well, it's kind of an issue because they keep recycling the same people, like we don't got eyeballs or memory, instead of just casting people that they, haven't used before. But irregardless, the Thing, Mrs. Fantastic, and Johnny Storm, all people that we barely know, if at all. So that's not an issue. But you cast Pedro Pascal, who's probably not cheap, and you could have gotten like any other person to fill the role. Or if he wasn't going to go with John Krasinski, even though he played the role great in the Multiverse of Madness with the short time we have with him, you could have gone with that. He did an incredible job. The general audience was responding greatly to this guy, and you could have gone with them, but no, you went with Pedro Pascal. Once again, not saying he's a bad actor, nobody's denying that, but it's just like he is overdone now. I mean, I don't say overdone, but it's just you're oversaturating Pedro Pascal's brand because he's been in almost every little thing, and you could have just gone somebody relatively new, so that way we just don't see Pedro Pascal in cosplay. It's kind of like how I talked about in my Wednesday review, where crap, I'm blanking on the woman's name who played Morticia. Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's like, I'm not seeing Morticia. I'm seeing Catherine Zeta-Jones and Morticia cosplay. And that's how I might feel, or at least most general audience will feel, where it's like, I'm not seeing Reed Richards, I'm seeing like Pedro Pascal in a Reed Richards cosplay. And the premise behind the whole Fantastic Four thing is like, oh wow, okay, cool idea to base them in the in the 60s during the whole space race thing, because that was like a big deal in history. But then they probably get lost in the cosmos during the space travel when getting bombarded with cosmic rays, and come out in the present day of the MCU. And I was like, okay, cool. That seems like a cool, thing. It's like, I think people was just getting over the hump, the whole Pedro Pascal thing. But then you compound the problem, you circle right back around with this casting of the Silver Surfer. And it's like, go with what people, at least general comic book goers would know, who is your primary fans. Go with the character that they know. In terms of how like his baseline thing is. And yes, he is a guy. I'm sorry. I'm not being like, I ain't trying to, make it all political or anything like that. It's like, oh, you must hate females and also, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just being in the middle of the road, very moderate, whatever. I'm just saying, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face, people. And like, I only just recently found out about this, that the term MCU, Kevin Feige made that up. He made that up? I thought it was just some general person that put it out there from news outlets and it just gotten rolled into the zeitgeist. No, he coined that term. And it's like, now it's a derogatory term now, because you're seeing things that it's like a particular pattern here now. And it's like, Marvel's not short on female characters. You're gonna cast Julia Gardner to be Nova. She could have been like Hellcat, Tigress. You got an abundance of female characters from Marvel Comics that you can cast this actress to be involved in, but you chose to, your first instinct, or I won't say first instinct, but your right idea is to gender swap a titular character. This isn't the same way like Electro. Silver Surfer is not like Electro, where you can get away with that being like a low tier type of character. This is like a big player in a supporting cast of the Fantastic Four, and hell, he headlined a lot of stories over the years, and it's just, you know how people are going to run with this. You have to dig through just to figure out they doing like an they're going with an alternate take of the Silver Surfer from a lesser known comic that not widely known by even most comic fans. I didn't even know that. I only, like I said, I only just recently found this out. They're going with like a particular story where the situation was switched between from Norman Rad to his girlfriend, and she became the hero. That is a very niche story that you could have relegated to like those What If TV series. But someone recently pointed out, it'd be like, James Gunn wanted to, he started with a Superman movie, but instead it being Clark Kent, he just starts off with, oh, there's a story where Lois Lane became Superwoman one time, and we'll go with that. And that's the first movie that you start off with in the DC. And it's the equivalent. It's just like, no. That is a niche, just equally a niche story that happened, yes. But that's not what general people will know. And it's like, it's weird that you go down making these weird that's why South Park made that stupid joke about Catherine Kennedy. It's like, make her a woman, make her a woman and make her gay. It's like all this other stuff. You're feeding into the same narrative, and it's like, you don't think like, okay, I don't think this is a good idea. Let's just go with what people know, because you'll make money. But you have noticed in recent movies, aside from maybe scraps here and there, there's a diamonds in the rough kind of situation. But generally, your stuff has not been well received. And it's not because people are bigots or closed-minded or anything like that. People in general, I ain't talking about those niche little marks. Yes, there are little niche little pockets of idiots out there that are like probably bigots or whatever like that. That's not the general people. Generally, people who are voicing their concerns aren't thinking of that way. They don't care. They care to have the character that they know come to life proper, and stop trying to muck it up to cater to a particular audience. I don't know, you're trying to win cool points with everything, and people who offer a different opinion, because some people are like, oh yeah, a female Silver Surfer, let's go. That attitude. Look, people like that who get in the face of other people who disagree, it's just like they're offering a second opinion. That's like, no, this seems like you're veering off course already before things even get off the ground. And I don't think that makes them misogynist or bigots or whatever if they're saying like, no, this isn't the character they know. I think if you introduce in Shia LaBeouf, like, she can be there, of course, but she ain't the main character. She can hang around or whatever the case may be, but Norman Rad has to be the Silver Surfer. Okay, you can do something with Shia LaBeouf later. Nobody's saying that, but it's like certain people on one side expect you to guzzle everything up and don't question anything, and it's like, we have the right to question things if we don't agree with it. Doesn't make us hateful or anything like that. I'm voicing an opinion. Yeah, this is kind of weird. Okay, and I know Kevin Kennedy, Kevin Feige, Bob Iger, should know this. And despite Bob Iger not too long ago, expressed it from a panel or something, that he was doing on stage, where it's like we're going to concentrate more on story, not so hard on messaging. Yes, a lot of movies supposed to have like a message, but it shouldn't be like the first thing you should focus on. And I guess he's not I guess he was BSing the whole doggone time, because it's like, yeah, Black Panther had a message, but it had like a story. The story should be the primary focus. And like this whole agenda crap should be, at the very least, dial down a bit, okay? Because it's overtaking the purpose of it being a story. You're just doing it just to do it. And a whole nother thing, stop announcing who's gonna be in it. Just say, oh, we're announcing the Fantastic Four. We're not gonna announce who's gonna be cast yet, but here's the story. They're set in the 60s, and they're going off during the space race, and they're going off, and you already got like a decent premise, and that's how we can get the Fantastic Four in the main, because it's timeline stuff. You're already doing like a time travel multiverse thing in this saga anyway, so it all fits. Leave it at that, and don't announce the actors until maybe like a few months before the movie's about to, or not a few months, but at least a short while before, at least at the most 6 months before the movie eventually comes out, and make it the standard people that we are familiar with. But no, they want to guarantee people are going to show up. People are going to show up regardless. And same thing with is how I felt about the whole Super Mario movie. Your IP already has name recognition. People are going to show up, of course. You announcing, oh, we got Chris Pratt, Anna Taylor-Joy, and stuff like that. You're making a big deal about who you're casting, and it's like this. And same thing with like the Borderlands movie. You're putting all these A-list actors because you're not confident in your product that's supposed to automatically have the fan base to automatically go, but you're probably just concerned about the general audience. You just gotta rely on the word of mouth from the core audience, who's definitely going to go see this, and then all the general people who probably not familiar will hear how good it is and go see it. People are not going to see Super Mario movie, go, Chris Pratt's in it. People are not going to see Borderlands because, oh, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. People are not going to see the Fantastic Four, oh, Pedro Pascal's in it. No, Fantastic Four has been around since like early days of Timely Comics. I don't want to say Timely Comics, but very early on when Stanley and Jack Kirby was creating these phenomenal characters back in the day. The Borderlands games have been around since like early 2000s. The Super Mario movie, once again, been around since the 80s. Wide fan base that clearly has been around for a mighty long time and cultivated a fan base. You could cast some lesser known people so that way they can build their credibility, because Hollywood doesn't like taking risks anymore. Very rarely you see them taking risks anymore. And it's like, you got the IP. It's the same thing where they like John Wick. The first John Wick movie didn't do so well, but word of mouth got out how great it was, and then it became like a 4 movie installment franchise that's gotten better and better and better. But it helps with Keanu Reeves, sure, but it was around the time when Keanu Reeves, the Keanu Sans was really rising up, because he stepped away from acting for quite a bit of time. But it's like, oh, okay, we got something on our hands, but you did not care to give it a chance at first because you didn't think like, oh, Keanu Reeves was a box office draw at first. But it's just, Hollywood tends to learn the wrong lessons. Kevin Feige I don't know. I don't know if he's burnt out or he's purposely self-destructing this entire ship and we're all going down with him. But it's just like they're bad decisions. And I'm sorry, Kathleen Kennedy probably casted a lot of awesome people in a lot of roles for a very long time. But it's not even just with Marvel, Star Wars and the animated films. They all are tanking horribly, and Bob Iger and Kevin Feige and everybody else in like the board meetings and stuff should be like, Kathleen Kennedy, here's your severance package. Like your decisions lately has been costing us in the long run, because in the short run you probably have like doing some nice dividends, but it's like in the long run it's biting us in the ass. It's like you're supposed to be making a profit, not costing you money. Because like, despite I do enjoy the Marvels, except for that villain because she was bland as fuck, it didn't do so hot. And then the budgeting of these films is like doing crazy numbers, and it doesn't need to cost so much. I don't know why you think that was like a cost positive for you. It's a cost negative in my opinion. But Marvel's decisions lately has just been poor. And it's like, I love some of it, but even still, it's like, even I, as big as a fan I am of like the MCU, and I fight hard on the side of the Phase 4 era. Sure, there's bits and pieces that didn't do so hot, but like I did a video about all the stuff that was good from Phase 4 and 5, but getting to 5, there were like really like Secret Invasion was like the worst of the worst. Like, oh my god, that was garbage. And it's like, it shouldn't be garbage. Like, y'all did the Winter Soldier movie, so you did spy thrillers before, so I don't know why it's so hard for you to just incorporate that in like a TV show format. It's just piss poor, and the CGI and then the diluted cinematography where you can barely see anything. It's like looking at like an old DCU film, everything with the muted colors and stuff. It's like you're wasting Sam Jackson's time, and you're doing all this. And some people say it should have been a movie. Probably should have. You killed off Kobe Smulders' character. It's just, don't think it's very necessary. You're making poor decisions, and you got certain writers with agendas, and they're heavy-handed with it at the most. It's just all around, it's just like crap after crap after crap. And not saying like the Fantastic Four is going to be a bad film, but I'm pretty sure the actor is going to do a fine job as Shia LaBeouf Silver Surfer. And maybe it's just like a one-off Silver Surfer female in, and they overcomplicated it too. It's like, oh, alternate universe Silver Surfer. Why you got to make it an alternate universe Silver Surfer? Why can't it just always just been like a mainline Silver Surfer, Norman Rad? You're overcomplicating it too. It's unnecessary. You already got like a decent premise. They're from the past. They got lost in time through the cosmic rays BS, and then come back with powers in the present time, and then having to adjust to very Captain America stuff all over again. Now they got to adjust to life in the modern times and stuff like that. And maybe doing the shenanigans of the film. The Shia LaBeouf of that universe is like there, and now they come to the it's like, you're already doing time travel. Why you gotta do alternate universe now? Now they're in the main universe, and we'll eventually do get Norman Rad, but it's gonna be in the 616, or I'm not gonna go with 616. It's 199999, like it's supposed to be. MCU universe with a male Norman Rad Silver Surfer in this particular universe. I'm pretty sure they might just go down that route. We don't know, but even still, if that was the case and that's how it's going to turn out in the end of the film, where we get like the normal Norman Rad Silver Surfer, that we'll move forward with down the line, you're not doing yourself any favors by, oh, we got like a female Silver Surfer and that's who we're gonna see in the film, and it's like you're causing this, division amongst the general audience and especially the fans unnecessarily. And like I hate the whole term, even bad news is good news kind of crap. Like, no, just stick to what we know in general and go with it. And if you want to mix some stuff up later in that particular stuff in that particular world of the Fantastic Four, you could later. But you don't need to, like, if you want to have like a shallow, like, of course, if you have like a Norrin Rad teaming up with the, Fantastic Four in the film and everything like that, and then have like a separate film, have like a solo Silver Surfer film where he's traveling the spaceways, and then he come across an alternate universe Shala Ball Silver Surfer, and they team up to fight some entity in that particular movie, then you can go down that route. I think people will digest that better because we already got like the main one that we know and love, and then you can shake some stuff up later and introduce some new element down the line. That's perfectly fine. I think that's ideal. I think people could be in general on board that. Nobody's hating on her because he's a female. We hate, most people hate on this kind of stuff. It's just the fact that it's not necessary. We know Norrin Rad is the Silver Surfer. Just cast it. It's like, we know you're trying to be like, oh, we know they want this, but how we, really like shake things up a bit. Let's like, do something new. Let's like get out of the box here. And it's like, no, this is not the time for you to get out of the box, especially after recent films and TV shows ain't doing so hot. Probably best to stick to what is known and like it's familiar. Set a base or foundation first before you want to add stuff down the line. Typically, that's how they be done. It's like, we start off with Steve Rogers' Captain America. That's the standard baseline. Then down the line, we introduce Falcon, and then further down the line, he has earned the mantle of Captain America, like in the comics. You didn't start off with, Captain America Falcon because you haven't set the precedent yet. And that's, that's basically all I wanted to get off my chest about this kind of stuff, because it's very, very weird that you make these kind of choices. And I shudder to think, or even say, that the MCU is probably imploding with it from among our eyes right now. And don't come at people who disagree, whatever side you're on. You got to come to a mutual understanding. Like, yo, this isn't like the proper time for you to step out of the box with something like that, especially after recent stuff. Stick to what people are familiar with, and you want to add something later, some new element later, go right ahead. That's perfectly fine. I'm not too broken up having like a Shala Ball Silver Surfer, if that was a thing in the comics, but not right away. Not at this juncture. This juncture is not the proper time to, keep adding some crazy stuff that's not needed, or at least not needed right now. You need to really build up the trust again, because not many people who I follow who've expressed this, whatever their point of views are, all in all, they all in agreement that the MCU has not been making the right decisions as of late, and it does not help with certain people making rash agendas into the story just to do it with no narrative reason why. It's just because, oh, it was a thing in the comics, didn't bother to read it, but it's a thing in the comics, so you can't say like it got an agenda because it's like they already put it in there. It's like, no, slow your roll on that kind of stuff. Just give us what we're familiar with, then add other crap later. You haven't even give any kind of narrative reason as to why you want to make a Solid Ball Silver Surfer. You just saw it one day and you decided to just incorporate that in the very first freaking movie of the Fantastic Four that's going to be in the MCU officially. And it's like, no, it's not the time for you to do all that kind of stuff. And you're causing a division among the fan base, and it's not doing the actors any favors. Because after, like, you know, the whole from Last Jedi with Rose, the actress who played Rose, gotten so much hate, unnecessary hate, and she was just an actress. She was doing the job, and people was mad at her for a while before, and she had to get off social media for a while because it's gotten so much vitriol. Same thing with the in the Kenobi series the actress who's playing that crazy Inquisitor, who the character sucked, but it's not the actress's fault, but it's just like you're throwing your actors into the wolves because you didn't want to offer any kind of context or stick to the proper source material when you're coming out the gate. And it's not fair to them. And like I said, you're trying to build back up trust with the people because you're slowly but surely losing them one by one. Most people don't, is like, but what I'm hearing, the close people I know, long since unsubscribed to Disney Plus. They, they didn't like the material that's been put out. As of late, some don't even want to bother even going to the theater to go see certain MCU movies because there's no through line. They're just like throwing things at the wall, hoping it kind of sticks. Then you got all these behind the scenes issues, like the whole Jonathan Majors thing. Even though I don't agree that they should have fired him because he, the whole trial thing was kind of botched anyway because the man was running away from the woman and it's like, oh, he put her back in the Uber aggressively, and it's like there's such cap. But you got all this other crap behind the scenes, and because actors gotta be squeaky clean, god forbid you have any kind of off the set problems. It's not like unless it's like straight up like, oh, find out this person like murdered somebody, and hit that body in a ditch or something like that. Outside of that, it's like, oh, they gotta be squeaky clean because we're Disney. We gotta have pitch perfect actors that cause no problems, no frictions. Don't go against the mouse. Don't say nothing too controversial, or think for yourself. Like Gina Carano, despite how you might feel about her, she has the right to think or feel how she feels. God forbid it goes against whatever narrative other people, the core audience or whoever who loves Disney and everything like that and trying to cater to a niche market. It's like, I don't feel it that way. It's cool you do, but it's not how I feel. Like, oh my god, she's a bigot, cancel her. And it's like, you're not allowed to have like a own thought that isn't like going against anybody else, but it hurts somebody's feelings. So and Disney don't care about your feelings, they care about the bottom line. And it's like, out you go kind of attitude. And it's like how I feel about the whole Jonathan Majors thing. It's like, oh, gotta be squeaky clean, and don't want to seem like we're a misogynist, so like he's out. Because if we keep him on, the woke mob feminists will boycott outside of Disney World if we allow a guy who wasn't even an assault or whatever like that, just had like a argument between a woman that seemed on the outside looking in terrible, but it's like a private I'm pretty sure anybody who has like a private argument among people they're in a relationship with will on the outside look bad on you. And then if somebody put that out there, that all of a sudden you losing your job, you'll feel very butthurt about that, because it's like a private conversation that, of course, in my outside looking at it will look bad, but take any argument out of context, it will look bad. So yeah, this whole thing is gonna become crashing down, and I feel bad about that because it's like one long soap opera. Everything was like, even prior to Endgame, like this movies that I didn't really care about, like Thor 2 Dark World, is like that one is, I still call it that like the crap. But then Secret Invasion came along and just like hold my beer. And then of course there's stuff in Ant-Man 3 that was very crap budget wise. There's a whole nother argument. It's like doesn't need to cost that much as an Ant-Man movie. Stop treating it like it's an Avengers film. Despite Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors acting their ass off, because I really enjoy their dynamic, but it's just like it is bad, man. It is bad. But that's all I pretty much I gotta say on the subject. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation with the separate controversy, which is Pedro Pascal, the decisions Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, Kevin Feige has been doing recently. Please be, courteous in the comments and stuff like that and respectful. But everybody has the right to, think the way they want. If you think in one way where it's all good, or you think the other way where it's like those are poor decisions, all welcome. Everybody can have their own opinions, not just one side or the other. Everybody come in, offer your thoughts, because it's like, my opinion is just like, there's gems, like there's some diamonds in the rough as of recently, but all in all, I argue since phase 5 moving on, not 4, because phase 4 still got solid material, but I say since phase 5 up until now, there's been some questionable stuff. But yeah, I will see you guys in a little bit when I get back into some Borderlands, the pre-sequel, speaking of Borderlands. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Take care.